So this video is just going to read out the instructions of your next SAC. Your SAC is in week 1 of term 2, and it is part B of this point of view and written analysis. Do not worry about part A. Part A will be later in term 2. So part B is a written analysis of a media issue, analysing the ways in which written language is used to position the readers by the authors. Your issue is gun control. So, your task is to complete an analytical essay which compares, contrasts, and analyses 3 persuasive texts. Your piece of writing should be approximately 800 to 1,000 words. You should be able to identify the structures, features, and conventions present in media text and discuss how these work to position the audience. You will need to use appropriate meta-language when discussing the text. So if you remember, meta-language is not limited to, but does include things like tone, appeals, evidence, anything, anytime you talk about what language is doing, you should be using some sort of meta-language. You have 3 sessions in which to complete the assessment task. You will need to plan your time to make sure that you annotate, organise your ideas, and complete a full essay. Your essay should include an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. You should make sure that there is a comparison between articles, examining the similarities and differences between the media texts. You will receive this instruction sheet and articles before the assessment task. You are able to annotate the articles, if you wish, in your own time. However, you will be provided with clean copies of the articles on the day of the SAC. That means that you will not be able to bring in your annotated articles. So you cannot bring those into the SAC. You cannot bring any plan into the SAC. Your teacher will collect your work at the end of each session. What you are allowed to bring into the SAC is pens and a dictionary. Your assessment task will be graded according to the VCAA criteria, and it will then be moderated by the English faculty. So if I scroll down, we will see the VCAA criteria. So this is our written language analysis criteria. And you can see it says, analyze and compare the use of arguments and persuasive language in texts that present a point of view on an issue currently debated in the media. So we're saying that this current issue is the gun control issue. You need to analyze and compare the use of argument and persuasive language. So let's have a look at what this criteria is. I'm going to hit the high descriptors because the example that you had on Moodle that there is a very long video for hits the high and very high area. Okay. So comprehensive and complex understanding of the arguments presented in the text and how they've been constructed to position the audience. So this is very clear that if you're not opening paragraphs with the arguments and you're not saying things like the writer contends, the writer argues, following on, that this builds on their argument that. So they're the sorts of words you need to use to be able to show this. To position the audience, these are the words that tell us what the words are doing or what the language is doing and why. So why is the audience positioned that way? If you have to use the word position, but you should also find synonyms. Then we move down to sophisticated and insightful analysis and comparison of the arguments with. So that's the first part of this one. It has to be a comparison of the arguments. So you need to say on the one hand or on the other hand, similarly, building on, in addition, anything that shows that there's some comparison about how the arguments are the same, about how they are different. You need to focus on the intent and the development of the argument. So how does one build on the other and support the contentions? And then you must have this accurate use of textual evidence to justify what you've said. So you need to quote from the text. If you don't quote from the text, then you're not going to be able to justify it. Okay. And the last 3 criteria boxes. Skillful control of the features of comparative analysis. This is how your essay is structured. Plus, not just within the paragraphs, but also, or not just between the paragraphs, I should say, but within it, how each sentence is constructed, how you've used your meta-language terms. Sophisticated and insightful analysis of the visuals that take into account how the visual works with the article. So you need to think about the visuals, and this particular criteria is really looking at how you've been able to analyze the visual in relation to the articles. And then considered analysis of the positioning of the reader. This is what we keep coming back to. You've seen this in 2 criteria now, so you know that you have to keep coming back to how the reader should react. And the last one is your use of standard Australian English, which includes your spelling, punctuation, syntax, grammar. It includes your vocabulary. So this one is really important as well. It is important that you do proofread your work and that you do fix up your grammar. When you get your feedback, because this is the final assessment task for the unit, as in like you're not going to repeat this until unit 2 now, where you're getting 3 areas of your strengths and 3 areas for improvement. So when we do this unit again in unit 2, you should be looking about your areas of improvement. In fact, you should be looking at your areas of improvement before the exam at mid-year. Hopefully this video has helped explain a little bit about the assessment task, and hopefully if you need it, you can re-watch it during the holidays.